This is just a quick video for Deb at Pebbles and Twigs and any other prospective buyers who might want one of these pieces. Pieces of what, you ask? Burnt wood? At first glance it may seem so. This one I call the claw because, well, for obvious reasons to me, it seems to look like a human hand, including, throw some light on the subject there, wrist joint and the ulna and the radius here and here. It is not burnt wood. It's been through a process of field-activated combustion synthesis, as described by James Grundtvig, which is to say that it's been electrocuted from beneath, from the ground up, and it burnt from the inside out using electricity. So this one's hollowed out in the middle right there, as are most of them, and they can be easily turned into a lamp with a flickering light in the middle that would simulate fire, or an actual candle. That one would happen to actually accommodate a teacup candle real nice like. Point is about these, I'd really like to make this presentation in person because there is so much intricate detail in the grain and the burn pattern where it stains the wood. For example, maybe here. Lots of intricate detailed patterns in the grain, and the focus doesn't usually help. So these presentations are much better in person when you can actually see what my phone just doesn't do justice for. So, they're unique, they're exquisite, they're exotic, they're one of a kind, they're custom, and that could be all the reasons you say, I don't know what that is, and I don't know anyone who might be in the market for that, whatever it is. Or you could use that as the selling point. It's really all a matter of what you prefer. So, this one looks uncannily like a unicorn, complete with a mane. I could probably take this to an equine center where they see a horse, and they would probably be excited to see it. The thing about this burn pattern, it always follows the grain, and I can give more explanations in person and in detail, but this isn't necessarily one of those videos. There's plenty of others where I've documented what this is. As you can see, the tips of these burn the same way that you can see this tip burned and this tip burned. Let's try and get it in there. The tip of this is burned, but the surrounding wood is not. And that's what these are for. They're educational pieces that can be turned into lamps that I need to get in front of some eyeballs because they do nobody any good sitting in my kitchen. This one is really neat. It's got lots of fangled edges, curves, burn lines that are unlike anything anyone's ever seen. So, last call. I'm going to go ahead and sell them off without too much insistence on what the price may be, because this isn't about making money. As you can see, I really don't care for them the way I used to. But no one else seems to care for it either, so. And the reason is fear. They're like autistic children. They don't want anything to change. No matter how bad it is, they don't want change. And when you show them this, their mental immune system kicks in. A lot of the time they actually start attacking the foreign substance that's been injected into their consciousness. So, let them perish for their lack of knowledge and their willful ignorance, because that's what it is. They choose to ignore and say, I don't want to buy a burnt piece of wood. I'm not in the market for that, and I don't know anyone who is. Because ignorance loves company. Just like misery, they want everyone else to be confused and ignorant as well. Otherwise, they lose their company. So, when you present something that defies reality as they live in it, they're reality junkies. They're hooked on the reality they think they know. And it's easier to get a junkie through the detox process off of any drug out there than to get a normal person to go through the awakening process. Yep. Once a junkie's willing and ready, it's 99% certainty that they make it through. And it's 99% impossible to get anyone to go through the awakening process for the same reason. They're unwilling. They don't want to know the truth. They want life to remain the same, like an autistic child. They don't want you messing with what they think they know to be the reality they live in. They're junkies that are so hooked on their worldview that when you show them something that defies what they think they know, they're not willing to reconsider or learn, which is the process of discarding old ideas with new. They want to discredit this new information with something from their preconceived paradigm. Because, like the Beatles say, nothing's gonna change my world until field-activated combustion synthesis is spontaneous human combustion. And this type of stuff is everywhere, in every neighborhood. It's not isolated. A lot of people know about it, a lot of people talk about it, no one actually does anything. So, I've spent quite a while, and the only thing I've learned is that people don't want to know. Willful ignorance. They ignore that which they don't want to know and that which they don't want to be true. They think if they just ignore it, they can wish it away or something. This is the reality. One of my videos is titled Park City Plasma Bomb, where I document all of the places this directed energy weapon, field-activated combustion synthesis, has been touched down in Park City, Camas, Heber, Spanish Fork, Springville, probably just about every city in between. I've only documented those which I've stated just now. But as you can see, these dots, these black dots here, that's where the wood is the densest. At a knot, we know that. From burning and cutting wood, that the dense part of the wood, the hardest to cut and the hardest to burn, is at the knot. Well, this happens to work the exact opposite. It burns the most at the knots, at the points where there is more fibers in a more condensed, tightly packed bundle. And that is where the higher density of wood attracts a higher amount of energy. And that's why it burns hardest and hottest on the knots. There's my magic wand. And even the small pieces work just as good for educational purposes, because you can see that it follows the line of the wood, that it burns in lines that are impossible for fire to produce. So maybe I'll just prop a couple more of these up. The bottom line is you see the same pattern all over. The tips, it burns from the top down, inside out, but the electricity actually comes from the ground up. Oh, and by the way, this is also why you see all of the houses burning from the inside out and all the foliage around them is still standing, because the energy goes into the ground and comes up through the grounding wire. The same grounding wire that normally protects a house from lightning from above and directs that energy into the ground is now used in reverse to bring the energy up from the ground into the house, leaving all the foliage around the house standing.